group of 20 countries is reportedly set to grant membership to the African Union. The move, some believe, will elevate the AU to the same status as the European Union. AU officials told Reuters that the membership is likely going to be made permanent. We're now joined by Dr. Marcel Naga from the University of Johannesburg for more on this. Thank you very much, Doc, for your time this afternoon and trying to gauge just how significant this could be. Should it be a reality and no one vetoes the move, why is it important, I guess, symbolically and realistically?
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show this afternoon. To answer your question, I would just like to provide some context on the G20. As we know, it's a group of 19 countries plus the EU bloc, and it's a group of very powerful countries in terms of economic power. Collectively, they constitute about 85% of the global GDP and 75% of global trade, just to give you an idea. And collectively, they come together and they seek to address major issues within the global economy. For example, issues of sustainable development. They also look at ensuring that the financial system is stable, and they also address issues such as climate change. So it is a very influential group of countries, and it comes at no surprise why the AU would want to be a permanent member at the G20. It would give the AU a platform to promote and pursue its African agenda as well as the agenda of the global south. For example, whether it's by advocating for restructuring of sovereign debt or reforming the international financial system so that it is more equitable and fair. So overall, it would be a very momentous occasion because it gives Africa this opportunity to shape the global development agenda to the benefit of the continent.
Okay. Let's assess then the African Union. You say it will give the African Union a platform to push the African agenda or the agenda of the global south. How has that been going for the African Union?
At the moment, we would say that the African Union has tried to engage in strategic external partnerships, whether it has been with the global north through the EU, the AU partnership, or whether it be with the global south through South-South cooperation. But as we have seen, these partnerships are not as strategic as we would hope for because it is a partnership of unequals. We know that Africa does not have the same economic might as its external partners, and for this reason, these external partners sometimes undermine a collective Africa agenda. For example, we know that with the EU relations with the AU, economic partnership agreements are a conditionality for their engagement with the continent. And we seem to see that these EPAs undermine Africa's collective regional integration efforts. Again, if we look at India, for example, they don't engage with the African continent as a whole. They are very selective and they seem to favor resource-rich West African states in particular. So I suppose if the AU is granted permanent membership on the G20, they really need to assess the manner in which they engage with G20 partners so that it always promotes a common African agenda.
Is there appetite for that agenda to be realized, right? Because when you speak of the G20 being influential and making sure, for instance, that the global financial system is stable, to whose favor?
Yes, there has been an overwhelming support by all G20 members for the AU's inclusion within the G20. But, I mean, the political motives vary. Some members may just wish to have the AU included because it's politically correct to have a global governance architecture which is inclusive and representative of the globe as a whole. Others would would seek to have the AU on board because of geopolitical considerations. We know with the Ukraine war, it's caused massive divisions between China, Russia on the one side and the West on the other side. So they would want the AU to come on board just to be a bridge and to build consensus within the G20. And then we have Russia and other major countries from the global south that would want the AU on board because it would strengthen their position as the global south. So whether or not these G20 members have the best interests of Africa and an African agenda, we would have to see in time whether they would be able to fulfill their commitments that they would make and their obligations.
Dr. Marcel Naga is with the University of Johannesburg. Thank you very much, Doc, for your time this afternoon.